Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and wondering why I cannot turn off my ticker. Anyway, thank you very much for being here on this Future Friday. This Future Friday is going to be a little bit more generalized. We're going to talk a little bit about the setting of Obsidian Star, a free, relatively rules light tabletop role playing game about the far future, about post humanism. And Taste of Banat says, Oort reminds me of home. Yes, we're going to talk about Neptune and Pluto and uh, the Charon or Charon and the Kuiper belt and the Oort cloud and all that kind of stuff. That's just going to be a short part of it. But I want to show you some character creation options and a host of random tables that's a bit daunting to have to type in, but random tables to allow you to really develop the world and some concepts that are very different from other science fiction games that I'm trying to incorporate. And the realization that this game is very close to Powered by the Apocalypse. I don't know. Maybe that says something about me, but whatever. Anyway, those who are able to participate live are our co-hosts. So I'm going to take a look and see what they have to say, even though we just barely started. Ha ha ha. The Yankee says, when you finally run a test game, you should dub that adventure the Obsidian Start. Yeah. Yeah. I even considered making, and I'm still considering making Obsidian and Star a mechanical character function. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Uh yeah, Shitlord says this must be the show where we talk about freezing to death in 1/1,000,000th of a second. I actually found out that that's actually not very true. Yeah, it from what I understand. Yeah, what is the speed of causality? Matrix, right? Yeah, what would get you first, freezing or explosive decompression? I don't know how explosive it is. I've heard that what's actually happening is that the pressure difference is making all the oxygen come out of your pores. So painful, but yeah, causality is the speed of light. Yeah, it pretty much is. What is with this ticker? I can't turn off the there we go. All right, tick. Mm, there, okay. It's making me feel a little bit better because this technically isn't the day of series. All right, so long story short, um, to I was going through each of the planetary systems, kind of describing what they're about, and then of course there's the meta knowledge of basically what are player characters going to do in this setting. And so I love to create a lot of friction points, and those friction points are basically storytelling elements. When the players arrive, what the hell's going on for the players to engage in, what things are happening in those locations to force conflict and drama with the characters when they get there. Some players are tend not to be interactive with the world. They want to remain distant and aloof as long as possible because they want to protect the lives of their characters and the character sheets and things like that. And so having a lot of friction points, and this isn't just for this game. I think in general there should be many friction points that when we're stuck for an idea, we have a default to go to in a particular place. In fantasy, we often have the monstrous lands. You know, in fantasy, there's always some corrupted land overrun by monsters and goblinoids and ghosts and demons and things like that. And when the players get there, when in doubt, coming around the corner is some kind of monstrous entity, and then that jump that can kickstart our creativity. So yeah, yeah. What about the talker? Yeah, turn off the ticker. What about the talker? All right. So for those who do not know, the Neptune is considered one of. I guess I'll share it out. I'll try not to, but don't need to look at my ugly mug. Neptune is a what's known as a ice giant, which is strange. And to be honest, it's really cool. There's a really cool concept that states that on Uranus, Yes, all the scatological humor. Uranus and Neptune, that these icy bodies can actually rain diamonds. So, like carbon and carbon dioxide will not just liquefy, but it will turn into a solid as it rains down from the upper atmosphere. And I think that's really cool. I don't know what that would look like. Um, and I guess by the time you get there, I guess the value of diamonds wouldn't really be what they are, since De Beers has kind of set up the value of diamonds. But yeah, kind of cool. There's also something, I'm going to use this image here. There's also something actually pretty unique about the planets in general, about the rings around planets. Like, for example, Earth actually has a bit of a ring around it, and most of the other planetary bodies have rings around them. And there's also a ring around the orbit as well, which is kind of a particularly interesting bit of knowledge that I found out that I think is really cool. So, um, so Neptune is no, oh, well, I guess I can't read it now. Anyway, these are some images, but let's go back to the info, or at least the info that I'm just working on. It says Neptune is one of two ice giants in the outer solar system. The other is Uranus. Most 80% or more of the planet's mass is made up of a hot, dense fluid of icy materials: water, methane, and ammonia above a small rocky core. Of the giant planets, Neptune is the densest. It is the eighth and farthest planet from the sun. It is the fourth largest planet in the solar system by diameter, the third most massive planet, and the densest giant planet. It is 17 times the mass of Earth and slightly more massive than its near twin Uranus. And it has a number of moons, names like Triton and Thalassa and Hippocamp, Nereid, Galatea or Galatea, Desponia, and more. And so these are the locations where, of course, all the adventure is going to happen. In the context of Obsidian Star, Neptune is basically a fueling station. It is a place where it's the edge of the system, a capital S system. Our solar system, using slang, is basically called the sys, or the system. Sometimes it's referred to as the Copernican system, or the Helios system, but basically people just call it the sys, or the system. And the I like to be tongue in cheek a lot, so the sys, SYS, also sounds like the cyst, CYST, and for good reason. This vast solar system that's a utopia isn't quite that. But this place is like a fueling station. Think of it as a giant planetary sized roadside gas station in many ways. It is a gas giant. Uh, Spacecraft wanting to exit the solar system are able to fuel up here, or those that want to go back into the system get the fuel up here. And while there's a community probably of, I'm going to say, 500,000 or more, um, it is primarily a industrialized location with uh, rotovators and gas collection systems and spacecraft using Bussard ramjet technology to suck in the chemicals from the upper atmosphere and turn that into fuel for the ice fire engines that I have, the theoretical ice fire engines that I'm using for this setting. And um, all of anything you can think of from a roadside gas station or fueling station is the drama that happens here, from the friction that happens between blue collar or working class individuals versus very rich and noble and affluent individuals. There's also a big sense of where do we go from here, because Obsidian Star, at least initially, is not going to relate very much beyond our own solar system. The Oort cloud being as basically as the unknown, as far away it's going to go. And so all those people that want to leave and go out and explore, go to Alpha Centauri and Proxima Beta and all these other locations, uh, it's a one-way trip. Players can go there, but they're, you know. Shitlord says gender politics again. Ooh, I've got something to trigger you. You want to trigger me? I got something to trigger you there, kind sir. Oh yeah. Getting back into what our people have to say. Drew says I left the link to your talk with Doug Burton on the Discord of another TTRPG YouTuber who talked about the hero's journey. Maybe you will get a little traffic from that. Oh, thank you very much for that. Yeah. We don't talk all the time, but Doug Burton did contact me and tell me that he's going to give me a bit of a shout out to his because he's formalizing the Heroine's Labyrinth novel that he's writing, the book, the foundational book, and I'm glad to be part of that. Shai says, are any of these moons halfway habitable? Absolutely. First of all, the reason why, as a sci-fi fan, I love the idea of I love the idea of our. Let's go back to images here. I love the idea of our using our solar system is because I feel like in science fiction it's usually like Earth and we're leaving Earth, and then we jump from there to other galaxies and alien life forms and things, and I think we miss the beauty and mystery and amazingness of our own solar system. And so the moons themselves are each going to be locations that are dramatic amongst themselves. So Neptune in this setting, Obsidian Star, is the equivalent of um, uh, I'm trying. The closest analogy I can come to this is the age of expansion, the age of discovery, when Europe was traveling the the seven seas, and the expansion that happened in the creation of the United States. And it's not a one for one. It's not like players are going to be on tramp freighters going into other people's cultures and dominate. Not like that. It's basically the various moons are places that are where people are trying to realize, create in real time a utopia that they see themselves after leaving civilization. So there's going to be a bit of friction in terms of like religious ideology, governmental ideology, because when you make a space habitat, it's a very tiny. No matter how big it is, it's still an enclosed place. So players might arrive to a place where they may they may confront a lifestyle to which they are not accustomed to. I'm actually gonna show one of these. I want to share one of these out here because Shitlords is got me there a little bit, and and this is kind of fun too. Anyway, yeah, do ice demons live on the ice giants? No. Well, I'm not sure. I'm about 70% sure I'm not going to have the ability to reach the core of these like icy giant planets and have things happen there. So uh basically science, the way science tells us is that these planets are so massive that if you bother getting to the core, while they're not black holes, the gravity is so great that there's really nothing there for you to do and no way for you to survive it. So but the upper atmosphere is where all the attention is going to be placed at, with habitats, chandelier cities, aerostats, things like that. So an aerostat is basically a floating habitat in the upper atmosphere of a gas giant, with using gases that are lighter than the gases on the planet. So, for example, like Venus, oxygen and nitrogen is lighter than the sulfur and other gases on the planet. So you could actually float a habitat by just filling it with breathable air. Um, you could just basically do the mathematical calculation of how heavy is the habitat, how buoyant is the gases, and then you that's basically how it works. Same thing with Neptune and Uranus. Um, I think Jupiter is a little too massive to do it, but there'll be something like that. And so there's an image right here that I've got up about with a ring around Neptune. And scientists have actually discovered that despite the fact that we see Saturn with rings around it, that's very visible, the other planets have rings around it as well, including Earth, which I did not know that, but it's actually true. Maybe the particulates are a lot smaller and scattered and not as dense, but they do have a ring around the planet. And I wonder how visible it would be to the naked eye, though. A lot of these things are either like artist renditions or things like that. Also, because it's so far away from central civilization, Terra, Luna, Mars, things like that, there is a sense of like independence and survival. And the isolated communities here are, I'll dare say, incestuous in some ways, not having a lot of contact, physical or otherwise, to other regions. And so there's a little bit of the crazy that's out here. Now, those who want to go even further out from Neptune, you're talking about the dual planets, um, Pluto and Charon, I believe it can be pronounced, or Sharon or whatever. Pluto and there we go. So this is kind of a binary planetary thing, which is Pluto's been reduced down from no longer being a planet, but it the way the science has described it is they're not sure whether Pluto has a moon or they're basically two planetoids that are like a binary system, but because they're kind of tidally locked and around each other. So let me see if is this another one. Yeah. Okay, so there's Pluto and Charon, and then there's these other Styx, Nix, Kerberos, and Hydra, and these are these other large, I guess, orbiting body systems or whatever out there. And these are locations where some of the unknown is going to be placed, and the interaction point between some of our bad guys. You gotta have some bad guys. You gotta have some adversaries. And the unknown, the known unknown is that there are adversaries out there that humanity has gone out into from Pluto and going out into the Oort cloud to explore the greater universe. And then I'll explain to you a very sci-fi thing that has happened in this in this setting that has disrupted a lot of stuff. Yeah, say no to the demotion of Pluto. I know. I mean, I was born and bred on the 9 planets, and the fact that it got demoted. I'm a Neil deGrasse Tyson listener, and I remember during that time he's talking about the fact that astronomers and astrologists, we actually jumped the gun on naming planetary bodies because we're like, what's a moon, what's a planet, what's an asteroid, and now they actually have to go back and redefine some of these places. Like, for example, what is a moon with an atmosphere? Is that considered a planet? What orbits what? Things like that. Scheiss, adversaries made of living ice? No, these are adversaries made of us. So adversaries in Obsidian Star are basically us, humanity. We are the aliens we wanted to find. And so using when both alone and having many resources and being able to shape yourself, both body and mind, what happens when you are so far removed from humanity that you're basically an alien species of sorts? And then what happens when you meet them again? Yeah, Drew, I hear you. Yeah, talk about Saturn. I can't do the song because they'll tag me, but put a ring on it. Yeah. Actually, most of the planets do have rings. There's also a orbital ring. So imagine picture a planet orbiting the sun. Now imagine that line, that round or elliptic orbit. Now imagine that filled with debris moving at the exact same speed. So um, the planets are each planet in our system, including Earth, has debris that runs along the line of that orbit, and some of that debris is moving at such the same speed that we'll never encounter it. But there's other orbital things that fall into it, and that's how sometimes we'll get like they'll predict um, meteors that are like falling into the atmosphere and just burn up. Those are uh, rocky and icy bodies that get pulled into the orbit of a planet and eventually fall into the towards the planet over a long period of time. And it could take days, months, years, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years before some of the planet goes around the orbit. And it, like the Kessler, the Kessler syndrome, the tongue-in-cheek thing I'm talking about, where we have in space they always have the dumping the human remains of someone out into space as a funeral. Well, if it's sitting out there, if it goes into an orbit of planet, that planet will actually impact that object. But from the point of view, if you're on a planet like Earth, we just see it burn up. But it's actually sitting there, and we impact it, or it impacts us, or any combination thereof. Almost a two-body system, I guess. Anyway, a special event known as the Signal has happened in Obsidian Star, and that event, known simply as the Signal, is a broadcast signal was sent from the Oort cloud into the central solar system, starting from like Pluto and Neptune, and it swept all the way through the entire system. And that signal basically was a big blast of data that filled every digital and data source known to man, and essentially shutting it down. And this signal event caused a lot of havoc, a lot of damage, and um, created these basically bricks, unusable bricks of data cores. And initially, those bricks were erased, deleted, removed, rebooted, overwritten, to get society back on track, because spaceships were flying, they couldn't fly, they couldn't navigate any longer. Habitats weren't able to operate, and things like that. Well, the trauma of that is long gone, but the end result of it is that we didn't realize that those data cores are actually important. And so in the game, to facilitate some of the treasure hunting that is well known in our tabletop role playing, there is a little bit of the treasure hunting in which players can go after things known as data cores. And there are NPCs and adversaries all over the solar system that are also going after these things known as data cores. And the data cores are bits and pieces and partial bits of information, of a vast amount of information that was sent and blasted into the solar system. To this day, no one knows why that happened, or where it came from, or whose fault it is. And I'll never not well, the fact is, A, I don't know, and B, there will never be an answer to that question. Drew and I talked about that a little bit before, in terms of like, where did this come from and how did this happen? The answer is, that's up to you. But data cores are essentially chunks of technology that break physics. And some people believe that humanity shouldn't have destroyed the data cores that exist, because had we all been able to get together, maybe we would have been able to ascend to a different realm of existence, or create faster than light travel, or be incorporated into another galactic society, or become a K1 or K2 society, on the Kardashev scale, whatever the case may be. That's yeah. Caligula says, "Never say never." That's true. That's more true than a little bit. Deadman says, "This is very much like Warframe." Yes. Now the data cores are neutral bits of flotsam or whatever. You can basically, air quotes, call them treasure, and they are essentially like one-use break reality systems. and I have like random tables. You could create some. You could create some on your own. So could a character use it to open up a wormhole to go someplace? Yes. Can it go through time or space or pass through walls and read people's minds and things like that? And that's where these data cores come from. The data cores also allow you to find other data cores, and so there becomes this treasure hunting thing. And are there factions and corporations and people, religious institutions that want to get them? Yes. And then are there governments and things like that that want to get them out of the hands of people who would use them in nefarious ways? That is true also. This is a big overview. Oh, let me share this out to you guys. Share this tab here. Talk about gender politics. All right, so this is a preliminary layout of the different character choice options. Let me see if am I actually broadcasting this to you? Yes. Okay. So this is a preliminary look at a one pager for the character options. The reason why this isn't just written in a one straight Google Doc with no art is because I'm trying to I'm cutting away the detritus. I tend to overwrite and then like to edit myself down, and so I'm trying to get the most minimal amount of words with the greatest impact. And yes, this is AI art. Actually, I need to put this in the margins or something like that. I'll put like a anyway. I'll end up like off to the side or the bottom or something like that. I'll put that in there. But anyway, these are the Cro-Mags. Slave natured, freedom nurtured. They are genetic. They were genetically created to be a slave labor force. Quickly outlawed. We're not going to do that any longer. But does that mean they still exist? And do they breed true? And are there people still doing it? Of course they are. And right here, where it says foundation jacket, foundation is a gaming term for what your body is. Jacket is the slang term. So your mind is a zipper, like a zip drive, and your body is the jacket, and you get zipped into your jacket. Your mind gets zipped into your body. And the mechanical effect of being one of these is also how characters advance in levels. So I wanted there to be some parity. So for every character choice, you get a +1, an add 1, and a change 1. So you get a +1, which is a numerical value. You get +1. You get an add 1, so you get to add one of these 3 or more like special abilities, and you get to change 1, which is something on your character sheet you get to change that reduces something else, but you get to add to something that makes you more like that particular type of option. The reason why it is written like this is because if your zipper, your mind, is zipped into another body, that body may be more or less physical. That body may be more or less enduring. That body may allow you to express yourself in greater or lesser ways. And so combined with your mind and your body, you may have shifts in your outlook, your personality, your capabilities, things like that. So yeah, and character advancement, that's how character advancement works. When you advance, you get a +1, a numerical +1. You get to add 1 trait to your character sheet, something special, something that you engaged in, whether that's you get to add a connection, you get to add another skill, you get to add a piece of equipment, something of value, you get to add something, you get gear, not baggage, and then you get to change 1, you get to change 1 thing. So that's character advancement. +1, add 1, change 1. We're moving down here, and this is just a little bit of the synopsis and story element. You'll see here, you see this red skull. This is basically the problematic stuff. And for the most part, most of these options are very problematic. Let me see what you guys have to say, because I can't see the chat. And again, very much like Warframe, yeah. Banaz says, where do data cores come from? Are they of human origin? So the signal is is extrasolar. So the signal came from the Oort cloud and beyond, but the data cores are actually the trash that we created. So, and here's an example: you're driving your self-driving car down the highway. The signal happens. Oh no! Car goes off the road. The black box in your automobile has just been overwritten by this signal. That dead piece of technology in that car probably gets removed. It gets thrown into a dumpster. It gets recycled or overwritten. They fix your car. You go on your life. That black box that was in your car is now a data core. Now, when this event initially happened, the impetus was to get society back up and running. So a lot of that stuff was trashed, deleted, overwritten, etc. But the ones that it still existed, as scientists and investigators found out, that they are packed with knowledge and that we should have been saving them, or maybe we really should have been destroying them in the first place. So this is a background meta narrative for the players to become treasure hunters, to go on heists, for the players to defend other places from outside enemies and adversaries to try to steal or find the data cores. There are institutions that are trying to corrupt the data cores so no one has this knowledge. There are people who are trying to collect all the data cores together to figure out what this big puzzle piece is, if there was one, etc. The answer to the complete answer to it is I will never give out what the complete answer is. Mainly A, because I don't have one, and B, if I ever do come up with one, that's going to be in my own back pocket. Now, Deadman says, do like Posthuman Studios. They put the artist credit at the bottom of the page by the page number. Yeah. Oh, well, I don't want to lie to people that I've used AI art to elicit there's a creative aspect on my end, right? So when I see the art, it does this, it does a spark for me. When or if I get the ability to erase it all and put up other things, I may, because I'm still experimenting with using public domain art and photography and using that instead, but I'm finding a lot of limitations on it. And I'm not rich, so it's hard to pay artists, right? But yeah, but I also don't want to take credit for other people's work, and AI art is taking credit for other people's work. So yeah, but I agree with you. The Yang King says Galaxy Express 999. I've never heard of that. Is an anime set in the far future, and in that setting, the richest people get mechanical bodies to become immortal, but every single one regrets it. That's funny, but there's an aspect of that that's going to happen in this game where people are living in mechanical bodies, and whether they approve of it or not, and things like that. Yeah. Taste Banat says having a black box in your car is mandatory in Russia. There's whole YouTube channels dedicated to like the dash cam footage and stuff. Yeah, it's not as well, it's most prevalent for truckers, but I've got a dash cam on my car. I need to update it too. You could take old cell phones and turn them into dash cams as well. You could just download an app and then get a thing that holds your old cell phone, just keep it charged up and stuff, and put on you can make a very cheap dash cam from an old cell phone. If you have any hanging around your house. The End King says, I wonder how people in this setting would feel if they body hop too many times. Yes, that is a thing. Or if they see their original body get maimed or destroyed. Yes. All that and all of the above is an issue in this world. Let me keep rolling down here. Let me read out this problematic stuff. So here's this image of these people again, right? And created as a labor force and such. And now in many role-playing games, of course, for sales purposes and for inclusive purposes, they want to remove barriers, and so they want to remove problematic issues. I'm taking a different approach by adding it into the game, by making it a feature of the game. There's going to be a big giant warning on the front, right? Like trigger warning. If these things bother you, do not go further. because anybody that's going to bitch and moan about it later, I'm like, you've already been, you could have just turned around or you could delete it. You don't even need to be here. So one of the big issues here is this one is the big red part, about why you want to play a Cro-Mag and etc. Now I have little, all the other stuff boils down to this part. Cro-Mags are born, bred, and designed as an enslaved species. They are treated unfairly. They are an underclass. They are victims of prejudice, lies, violence, and author, authoritarian oppression. Wow, why my mouth is not working well. And right below it, why play one? I mean, if that's the if that's a bother going to be a bother to you, why play one? And it says to confront and destroy oppression and prejudice, to fight against one's genetic destiny, to embrace community, to behave instinctually, to be driven by base emotion and needs, to hide under the cloak of servitude, to show the honor and beauty of serving others, to live and die by one's own hand, to punish abusers, to erase prejudice, to burn down entrenched slavery and forced labor societies. So, under each of these choices, it's like, why would you, as a person, player, want to play this kind of character, knowing that right above it, it's like, yeah, when I play this character, there's going to be people who don't like me. There are going to be agencies that are going to want to take advantage of me. It's going to be pretty harsh. Why would I want to play this kind of character? And this is the reason why you would want to do such a thing. Come on, find the center. There it is. There it is. It still looks uncentered. Anyway, here is another one, and I need I need your help here, because this is the gender fluid foundational character type. The Yankee said body hopping is how you gain baggage. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. By body hopping too many times. As a matter of fact, there's going to be a little bit of encouragement of body hopping and like self-sacrifice. Yes, you could literally go on a mission to sacrifice yourself, to be killed, to wake up in a different body at a different time, different body, things like that. Days Benaz says it's how they became the world's greatest exporter of car crash videos. Yeah, all the dash cams footage. Yes, so many of them come from Russia and stuff in that part of the world. Yes, very much so, very very much so. Caligula's Palace Live says, "What do you think about all the anti-AI art fanatics who say they will boycott everybody who uses it?" Hold on, I'm so sorry. Okay. Unfortunately, we can't go backwards, but I have zero problem acknowledging that something is AI art. I think what's going to end up happening, though, is that AI systems always fall to the mean, to the middle. And at a certain point, AI art is going to look like mayonnaise. It's going to look like, I don't know. It's going to look very plain, and our eyes are going to realize that there's nothing special about AI art, and that a real artist will make art uh it'll snap something in our brains that we know that there's a difference between one and another. Now I know AI art systems are getting better, but I think, because here comes the question. What if you are a great artist and you have a blank AI system and you feed your own art into that system to generate something? Where does that fall into? So, like, what if Stephen King put all of his books into an AI, like a chat GPT, to spit out another horror book written in his tone and using his words? So, I don't think there's a problem with being against it. I think the problem is that the institutions now don't have any guardrails up any longer, and are very difficult to put those guardrails back. I think artists need to be paid and honored for what they do. I really don't have a problem with telling somebody that something's AI art, and I don't have a problem with someone using it. Just don't lie about it. That's all. Yeah, mechanical bodies, the torture never ends, especially if you're treated like a piece of equipment. What if you hate your body so much you gain bonus sanity points every time you lose it? Yeah. Well, the thing is that this is a world where you can choose to live in the body that you want, and prejudice still exists because if you've chosen to live in that body, that actually makes it that doesn't make it worse. It makes it there's a different dynamic than being born a certain way than choosing to be a certain way. Drew says, as long as your game is not a new Fatal, yeah, yeah. Shitlord says, includes adult themes. That's it. That's all you need for a trigger warning. For in today's age, are you serious? You need a lot more than that. But anyway, okay. Let me introduce this to you. The word "dro" is taken from the word androgynous. Now, I understand. Before anybody gets all upset, um, the term androgynous is actually derogatory. I'm using that as these are individuals who have taken that word to turn it into a positive. So it is derogatory, whatever. Again, I'm asking you guys to correct me. So this is how I'm expressing it. I literally can type in anything I want, so I can literally edit this real time. So, but anyway, these are the gender fluid and free individuals, but they are objects of obsession. Here are the mechanical features that they have. They get a +1, an add 1, and a change 1. As during character growth, you could actually go into the, hey, I'd like to get another +1. I'd like to get another add 1. I'd like to change another one. And you can actually do that. I'll get into some of their abilities. For example, you can pick Asexual Uncanny Valley, which is the ability, if you spend 1 strive, you can remove the extremes of both intense loyalty and hatred from social interactions. So you guys ever remember, maybe you guys don't, you're not old enough. Some of you are old enough. Remember the old morale tables when you'd encounter an individual in a dungeon, and you'd roll like 2d6, and they'd have a chart, and it was a bell curve, and it's like they would either be neutral or friendly or maybe loyal, or they would be like disagreeable or hate you and things like that, right? Well, they have the ability to knock off the extremes on either end, so that it creates this. It creates a generalization to move towards the middle, which is neutral reaction. And strangely enough, it's actually a good thing. So in this world, in Obsidian Star, they are actually the Dro are actually encouraged to be part of like politics and diplomacy and corporate structures, because their mere presence reduces subconscious sexual tension and gender stratification within the workforce. And so they're actually encouraged to be there. But they also have other abilities like center of attention or object of desire, which is the opposite, because they're able to change their bodies, their pheromones, things like that. Here's the problematic part. So let's go over here. Got our little problematic part. Problematic part. Despite being held in high esteem, hidden extreme groups continue to harass, stalk, abuse, assault, kidnap, and murder Dro in troubling numbers. Dro are always cast in a sexual light. So you're like, well, why? That's fucked up. Like, why would I want to play this type of character? And right down here, here's why. To inhabit a gender fluid jacket, to be seen as value added because of your nonconformist gender identity, to uncover, confront, and punish those who are dedicated to violence against the Dro, to use asexuality as a positive tool in social interactions, to use hypersexuality as a character trait, to confront, embrace, question, or delve into gender roles. So that's why you would want to play it. But here's another thing, and this always bothers me in our tabletop role-playing community. You also have the option of not playing this kind of character. But here's the other intricate part. What if you want to play a character, but this bothers you in this setting? Well, my answer to that is, so what? Right? You have the choice of either playing the game or not playing the game. So, and I love this idea of I love challenging ourselves, and I love the challenge of playing these kind of things. Now, I don't know if the idea of even calling them the Dro is even a good idea. So I need your help from that. But anyway, this is the story. Um, about the social experiment of creating this kind of this kind of genetically modified body that people are able to live in and things like that, and the people that are still obsessed with them. Um, uh, the Let me see how can I describe this. Okay, under synopsis, it's kind of like what they're described as, how they look. Um, the second part is a little heart, is like who's welcoming them in, like where do they fit in? Where's the best place they fit in? Under story is kind of the origins of where he came from. Under vision, this is for a player character, like where do you see your character going if you're going to play this kind of character option. And then the mission, basically, and I'm going to put a little line here. I haven't decided what that small line is. Under mission, these are NPCs you have a connection with. And those NPCs that connection with those NPCs can be good. They can be bad. They can be adversarial. They can be uplifting. It depends on you and that kind of thing. And they're already pre-named. And then we come down here into the Agi or the Agi. I don't care how you pronounce it. Artificial general intelligence, sentient society. So I'll leave them here and go back to see what you guys have to say. Taste of Banat says, didn't we already establish that gender is practically irrelevant in the 24th century? Yes. Yes, that is the whole point. Although human, okay. Being assholes, I think, is a thing that technology will not be able to eliminate. It doesn't matter what generation of society we have established. There's always going to be those people who are against the damn thing. So I thought it would be a great idea to have a way for. I also want to make this game very inclusive, yet challenge that inclusivity in many ways. So I wanted to create something where people who today in our present day feel that way are the heroes in the future, but then the game allows us to delve into some of those problematic things and feel like a badass sometimes. I think everybody wants to feel like a badass in their own way. And so this is my way of doing it. I don't know if it's good. I could be, I'm sure there's some people out there like DBJ, this is the wrong, you don't even want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, or your depiction of such a thing is problematic. And I'm sure that's an issue. So, I'm willing to be educated, corrected, change it, double down on it, whatever the case may be. Yeah, Shai says, yeah, indeed, we can't go backwards. Trying to fight AI art is like trying to fight the weather, and it's good for my electro band. It's funny. Yeah, my thing is I don't want to lie about it, right? Like I think if you're going to use AI art, that's fine. If you listen, we already have laws that give us, when we take something from someone else, we give credit to it. So if my channel is about movies, the movie, I don't own the movie. Hey, this movie was created by so and so, and here are the actors in it, and blah blah blah. And I'm just analyzing it. So it's the same thing. It's just like photography and music and things like that. You give credit to where credit is due. Now that credit could go to 5,000 people, in which case you just say this piece of art is AI created. This novel, this script was created through an AI system. That's all you have to say, and then let the public decide whether they want it or not. That's all. Ever seen all those abandoned places groups on Facebook where it's all AI art? Yeah, too cool for reality. I've seen those. Yeah. I choose to live in the body of Danny DeVito. What a choice. What a choice. Yeah, what up, Dro? Yeah, exactly. They look like Lily Manilli. They kind of do. Yeah. Mind you, this was a little bit of the art that came. This is AI art given a prompt to try to create faces that were as non-gendered as possible. And this was like one out of like 12 that it could come up with. because a lot of art that's created is either male or female centered, and this is kind of the best that I could find that came up with it, because I know I've got some art, but I'm not that good. Drew says, "Oh my God, reaction tables! Never seen them in use, but I know I would have hated them." Listen, the reaction tables were the old school dungeon. Hey, adventurers turn the corner. There's an ogre and 5 kobolds. What is their reaction to you? That's where that came from. But it was also a way for players to avoid martial conflict by adjusting the morale of the NPCs they came across. So you could befriend those ogres and kobolds and not fight them because my wizard only had 3 hit points and the fighter had only 8. It was that's where that came from. Yeah. Tay says, if people are switching bodies all the time, wouldn't everybody effectively be androgynous? That is correct. Technically, the non-gendered part of this happens when, if you download your mind, if your mind becomes digital information, the only reason you identify with a gender at all is digital information, which could be edited, deleted, that kind of thing. Once you become digital information, then gender doesn't matter any longer because you can go into another body, right? Now, some people would say, for like, well, would it matter for like breeding purposes? Would it matter for relationship purposes and things like that? Would people hold on to that? And my question is, would they? Is that right? And your Bernard makes your point. Your question is the standard. So in your setting, is this a thing or is this not a thing? And are the people who hold on to it, are they like the aliens? Like, if you go to a space hab where they have strict gender roles, are they the norm or are they the outsiders? And are they the problem, or are they, are they going to, is their desire, this space hab who has a desire to hold on to, say, specific gender roles? And when I say specific gender roles, that could be from any culture, from any period of time on Earth. And they live out in space, they're orbiting, I don't know, they're in a space hab around Uranus. And they've got a space hab of a couple, say 100,000 people that live on a moon, and you visit them. Will there be instant conflict? Or will this be the kind of place where at a certain point you're just going to leave and go, we need to nuke this place from orbit? Will this be a place where you're like, I don't like the fact that they're here, but they're not really a problem to me. They're just icky feeling. Like, all those questions I want to be the essence of this game. And that's just a small sliver of a thing. Drew says, I think androgyne is not really derogative. Hermaphrodite is the term that should be avoided. Right. I looked it up and I did avoid that. Yes. So they are technically androgynes. And so that's where that comes from. So thank you very much there, Drew. I really appreciate it. Play a Dro, sling it around like a blaster rifle. Sure, why not? Dro is completely awesome. Best gender neologism ever, you think? I have a habit of, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I do have a habit of creating slang from terminologies that I feel would progress through time. Like the zipper jacket thing, like zip drive. Are they really zip drives? No, but would people relate? If there's a thing in the back of your brain that records your mind, would people still call it zip drives? Probably. And then I'm like, okay, well, if it's a zipper, wouldn't your body be like a jacket? And like that. So my mind goes there when it comes to things like that. So sometimes to the detriment of the people who are actually being referred to that way, but yes. Now Caligula says, unless they actually have 2 fully functional genitalia, they have the ability to choose what form of genitalia they have at any particular time. So there's no standard. The standard is they have the ability to make that standard, if that makes sense. Drew says, I would call them Uranians. Yeah, even though that term is related to Uranus, or to be more precise, it is commonly used to express gender nonconformity. Really? You think that'd be Hmm. Okay. Says, but Uranians, even though the term is used to, yeah, I don't know. Now, I could. Now, here's one thing: we could give them a air quotes home world, and then name them after that location, so I could to dodge around that. But my instinct, and just I'm trying to speak out loud on my thoughts. Um, the first thing that comes to mind is I wanted to make this choice the hero. I wanted to make them heroic. So when a character, let me find something else here. Let me roll down here. This choice right here, the player who plays this character type, these AI character types, they are the hero of their story, right? When a player plays this type of character, they want to perceive themselves as a hero. And my intention is that if you are a person who feels like you want to identify this way in this game, mind you, there's going to be like 15, 20 other choices, then I wanted them to be identified as the hero. And I didn't want to hide it. So that's where I'm coming from. Now, listen, Drew. That also means I need to take exception to the rule, right? I gotta listen to outside advice. So, but that's where I was coming from. I don't know if other people would accept that or understand that. So, maybe changing it. Okay. Urania was the more precise. Oh, Urania. Ah, okay. Ah, all right. I'm feeling it. Okay, I'm feeling it. Yeah. Caligulus. But can't technology eliminate the need for an asshole? Yes. I, okay. Oh shit. Um there are there's a choice. There's an alien species which is human, which is basically human 2.0, in which they've set, for example, they have three holes in their face. One hole's in their throat for speaking, one hole's for eating food, and then there's like two holes behind their ears for breathing. Because I think it's kind of foolish that we have one hole that we do all three functions with. So they designed a genetic thing, and one of the genetic parts of the body was altering their assholes. And I thought it would be kind of funny to do that, but I understand what you mean, because I understand the sarcasm about, like, yeah, couldn't we just couldn't we delete, you know digitally delete the asshole out of our personalities, maybe, or something? I guess. I don't know. I think that's subjective, though. I don't think you would. I don't think you would know you're an asshole. I think other people measure your assholeness. Ooh, we could make a game about that. My asshole rating is 7. I get a +2 from being a dickhead. Anyway, shit says, but seriously, how can you give credits to the artist whose work was jumbled up in a computer? By just saying it's AI art, I think is the best way to do that. The AI art of the Dro here looks a lot like the Nicopol trilogy by Enki Belial, which is completely awesome. Really? Really? Let me go back to that image. I'll put it back up here again. I've got other art. I can show it to you. Matter of fact, I think I will. I'll show it to you. Give me a moment. I know it's late. Drew says, nah, people who held to outdated gender roles never left Earth and would all be extinct. I think some of them would hardline and be stuck in corners. I think some of the cesspool fight. I think some of them. Although you are correct, though. If we become if humanity leaves Earth, in order to survive out in space, there are going to be certain things that we're just going to have to get rid of. And while I joked around about, body odor and people being naked, scrubbing each other in zero G to get everybody clean. To be honest with you, like body nakedness and things like that, that might be something that's just like, we don't have time or energy to expend on covering our bodies if we're a crew of space people, right? Like that may be a real thing. So I think gender roles probably, when especially with the simple fact of technology giving us the ability not to have to worry about that any longer, I think that would probably disappear. I do think so. It may be something quaint or traditional, like something that comes around during holidays or something, maybe. Shai says, creating slang is an essential element of world building. I know I'm so far behind. Drew says, Google Urania. You will find plenty of stuff related to gender nonconformity. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, Urania. Okay, stars. Greek was in Greek mythology the muse of astronomy and astrology. Urania is the goddess of astronomy and stars. Her attributes being the globe and compass. That also fits together. Let's see. Surname of Aphrodite. So that kind of fits as well. Muse. Let's see. I think I'm sold. I think I'm sold. Let's see. I'm gonna have to move this. Center that there, stick it a little bit above there, like that. And then I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna have to go down in here, change a bunch of this stuff, but leave the end. You tell me if that works. Creating slang that all your gender stuff in this game is going to get you canceled. No, okay, so all your gender stuff in this game is going to get you canceled. So no matter what, and then it will be a big free speech issue, and you'll be famous. Dude, listen, I've already thought about that. Let me be clear. Let me be very, very clear. I intend this to just be one of many options. This is not like, it's not like, hey, everybody, you have to play this character. If we remember, this is an option, and this is an option, and the other thing's going to be an option, and blah blah blah. And it's just having the ability to tell different stories. And I mean, what's the game Thirsty Sword Lesbians is like award winning, and some could say that that's a possibility. No, so yeah, shitlords. I guess that is possible to get. I don't know. I don't know how canceled I could be. I'm not very known. Not very like. I don't think I'm famous enough to be canceled. Although I could inadvertently become famous and then get canceled out of it. So I guess that is a thing. Yeah, Shy Squads is Starship Troopers co-ed showering with no hard-ons. Yep. I don't know if anybody ever saw that, but there was co-ed showering. It was no big deal. So at a certain point, certain things become no big deal. So yeah. Caligula says, you still need to cover how the people of the future will be a bunch of pathetic weaklings with muscles atrophied from constant life and weightlessness. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, so I'm considering including something known as Vians. Let's see if we can get some images here. So what the hell is a Viand? So let's see if I can find. I'll share this image instead. I'll put this up here. So I was trying to figure out how to make food, water, rest, how to make that interesting. And in space, there's other complications. Calcium deficiency, Atrophied muscles due to weightlessness. The heart muscle gets weak. What are there's some other things. Your humans that grow up in gravity become nauseated because our brain thinks that we are in free fall, and radiation, all that stuff, right? And I wanted to distill it down to one thing, and I wanted to distill it down to something that I found the word called vians, Viands, vians. Now, vians is a Filipino thing that is known as a staple of food. And so here's some images of viands. Here's some great food. Looks really cool, very nutritious and such. Um, if we go to the description, uh, under dictionary here, just initial Google, it says an archaic, an item of food, an unlimited assortment of viands. Or the Philippines, a meat, seafood, or vegetable dish that accompanies rice in a typical Filipino meal. A sumptuous lunch of rice and 2 viands. Now, the reason why I found that word viand, because I was like, what would slang like vitamins, vitality, and something? And so I wrote down the word VY or VI dash and I did a search for it, and it came up with something that is real. So I think I might consider something known as viands, or you have to engage in your viands. And what I'm thinking is that it could be it will become why won't this change? Player characters will need to consume food, um, use calcium hypercal to get their calcium back up, to exercise to keep their muscles up. There will be supplements to keep your muscles and tendons intact and strong. There will be things to take to basically wipe your body from the radiation and mutations and cancers that can happen. And the Philippines represent, yes, I think I want to keep it, because I think that would be kind of a cool thing. Okay, here's Blades in the Dark has a method for your character to regain their resources. To regain your resources, your hit points, your stress, all that kind of good stuff, you have to engage in your vices, which means as a character, you actually have to leave your place of safety to go out and engage in your vices to make your character more whole. So, um, I think characters who have to engage to use vians to make themselves healthy again, getting, I don't know what it would be, taking baths or taking supplements or going to places to get radiation and mutations and calcium and muscle atrophy to get that removed so you're still healthy, means that players will have to leave their place of safety to go to a place in a space habitat where we can have lots of social interactions and things like that. So there's a meta narrative in my head that I'm still mulling over, that in general, like an NPC could suggest to the player characters, hey, meet me at, I don't know, Astro Cafe. In the back, they have a great place to serve some great viands. And when the players get there, maybe there's like electrostatic baths, and there's like drinks on the table, and the drinks are like a milky like substance that you have to drink. And along with drinking that, you also have to go into like a I don't know, a sonic room or something that bathes your body so that it incorporates into your bone structure for like an hour and things like that. Yeah, his shitlords of vices representing. Yeah. Yeah. For those who don't know, Blades in the Dark, your character has to have a vice that you engage in: gambling, romantic interludes, violence, things like that. The Yanking says, if your muscles atrophy, you can 3D print new ones every so often. Yeah, that it depends. I wonder if you could make a biological body which would be easy to remove and replace organs and muscles and things. That would look kind of sick. I like that. Shitlords says, dude, that's how you get famous. Everybody attacks you, and when you're still a nobody, and then the free speech brigade comes in to defend you, and you get on a world book tour. Ooh. Ooh. I don't know. I don't know if I have the personality to be that way. I don't know. Maybe. I'm non-confrontational in that way, so I don't feel like I'd be the person to you know how the paparazzi always catch people in the worst, the TMZ cameras catch people at their worst. I don't know if I'm that kind of person. I'd just be like shrugging my shoulders, like, whatever. You could actually not play the game instead of being upset about it. Things like that. I mean, like I don't approve of the game Fatal, but it's not like I'm going around burning Fatal books or something like that. I don't care. Drew says, send people in my direction. I will defend that term. After all, I suggested it. And since I am on the genderqueer spectrum, I would even say I count as sensitivity consultant in that regard. Can I, and we'll talk later. Drew, could I actually make you a sensitivity consultant? I would love that. I think yourself and somebody else in the group. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Okay. I'm down for that. I'm very much down for that. He says, yeah, you don't have to be confrontational. That's true. That's very true. Jedman says that would be a good Podmore from Eclipse Phase. Yeah. Just like what? My muscles are atrophying. I could work out, but why don't I just 3D print some extra muscle and take out the old ones? Yeah, little pods. You get to see the image of the Podmorphs have like the lines in their body where it looks like you could actually remove the skin or something, or that. I'm actually feeling it. Drew, how much do you charge as a sensitivity consultant? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, Fatal. Roll for ship circumference. I think it's more like rolling for like sphincter circumference, but yeah. You just say, hey, I made this harmless sci-fi world and everybody attacked me. That's true. That's very true. And again, my intention is to listen, outside the game, because I know I'm going a little bit late here. Outside the game, we know that in a creative space, to create drama, you have to have conflict. To have conflict, you have to have problems and issues, things we don't like, and then our heroes confront those issues in the best way they want, whether that means having difficult and broad conversations like we're having now, or just pretty much going down to like, you know what, I just feel like being a badass and punching people in the throat that deserve it. So how do we create those people? Well, we have them do things that they don't like, which means we have to have problematic issues in the game, which is where I fall into. So I like stuff like that. Drew says, for DBJ, I do it for free. Have not thought about it much. Not sure what people even ask for that. People do pay for it. I don't know. We'll have to have a talk, and at a certain point, we'll have a private conversation, I think. But on this public forum, without going into too much detail, I would absolutely positively. Well, first of all, what you guys don't realize is all of you are going to be contributing writers to this because you are actively doing that as we speak. Where that placement is, I don't know. I haven't decided how I'm going to do that, but and how I'm other than a words and phrases, how I can honor the responses that I'm getting. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. And I will take I'll take any suggestions for it. Yeah. So Urania, I kind of like that. Now, what I may do is place them as their air quotes home world or probably a moon around Uranus is probably what I'll do for the setting, so that we don't have a complication of the planetary system being one place, referred to one place, and then yeah. I'll do that. Shitlord says, whatever you say about gender, it's going to be controversial one way or another. Even mentioning it at all is controversial if you're straight. Yes, very much so. Which I am, but doesn't. It's weird how people forget that sometimes things aren't about us. Like things aren't always about me. So that's why I wanted to create something where there's something that's not about me. So and and I think people like to see themselves. Role playing gives us the ability to play a role that makes us the hero of our own story. And sometimes we want to play people that are nothing like ourselves at all. We don't want to be even associated with our real life. We want to play something alien to ourselves. Yet there are other people who want to play themselves writ large. Hey, I want to play myself with 30 pounds of muscle and another 6 inches of height and good looks. And but you know what I mean? And role-playing games lets us do that. And sometimes we get to vacillate between all of those things combined. Like, I want to play somebody with 30 pounds of muscle and looks good and is an expert at all things and looks attractive and is alien and is, and we get to do that in a role-playing games. And I feel like there are controversies where there shouldn't be any because the shit don't matter. Like the remember the big uproar about the combat wheelchair? And I'm like, that's a struggleable offense. Like, why would you be mad somebody else wants to live their best life? Right? That's just a very weird thing to have an emotional reaction to, that I find strange. It's like, so what? Right? Just do what you're going to do, and whatever controversy emerges, it'll propel your book to global success. Well, thank you there very much. So, Lord, I appreciate that. I appreciate being challenged more than you think, because echo chambers don't really work very well to me. I would rather someone come in and go, you might want to think about this thing or that thing. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, Drew says people seem to enjoy to die on the weirdest hills. I agree. I agree. Sometimes if you really think about something a little deeper, you start scratching your head and going like, why do you even care? Like not that you have an opinion. Why did you formulate opinion in the first place about a thing, right? Like, that's, yeah. Taste a bit out says, and then you get a free Romanian translation. Hey man, translating stuff is a lot harder than you think. It very much is. Because of turns of phrases. I know I use a lot of slang and Americanized, stateside-ish phrases and terminology. Like, I'll use the phrase like touchstone, or I'll use a phrase like, oh, it's hard to decipher my own brain. I'll say certain things in a manner that is not very easily decipherable by a person that hasn't lived my life. And if I use that in a game unconsciously, then someone else will read it and go, what is he talking about? This doesn't make any sense to me. And you're like, oh, it's an Americanism, or oh, it's a DBJism, and not realize that. So yeah, translating books from one language to another is difficult. Translating games is even more difficult, because you're not just translating prose, you're translating rules, you're translating numbers, you're translating word problems in many ways, narrative word problems, if-then statements, things like that. Yeah. And Drew says Gideons are the hard. Is that what they're called? Gideons? Gideons are the hardest part in translation. Yes. If they're called Gideons, thank you. I use plenty of Gideons unconsciously. It's just we all do them. And I tend to repeat things over and over again in different ways to stop myself from naturally falling into those Gideons without explaining myself fully. So yeah. You mean idioms? Well, I like Gideons better. Too late. Oh, Drew, you got me. Oh, you got me so hard. I love that. Oh. Yeah, Gideons are now. Yes. Yeah, yes, Bernard says, yeah, translating stuff well is harder than you think, but that's the whole fun of it. Yep. Gideons are canon now. Yes, you got me. Oh shit. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna look this up. What is a oh, it just came up. Oh, just religious stuff. Mm-mm-mm. Gideon's most popular meaning is one who cuts down. Already inspiring images of great strength and ferocity, Gideon is further emboldened by its roots in the Hebrew Gid on, which means great warrior. Such rich meanings effortlessly intertwine to weave the tale of the celebrated individual. One who cuts down. Okay. Is that a Marvel superhero's backpack behind me? Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, okay. Before I get out of here. This is a official Marvel superheroes robe. So I'm a big geek, but I embrace my geekism at home. So this is a robe, uh, Marvel's printed on one side, and then Spider-Man's eyes are on the other side, and then just printed along the inside part of this, it just says Marvel, and then there's like a little tag it's been washed out, things like that. But yeah, I've got a Superman one, and then on the back here, let's see if we can do the back here. On the back here, let me stop. On the back here is Spider-Man symbol there. Yep. And it's like it's very long. So if I start trying to put like it goes below the calves, so it's like very long. So yeah. It's my geekdom. Every year my wife buys me new like geeky sleepwear and t-shirts and things like that, and leggings, stuff like that. Yep, welcome to the Spider-Verse. Hells yeah. As a matter of fact, I wish I could show you. You know what? I'll take a picture of it one day and I'll share it with you guys. But anyway, I've held you too long. It's almost been an hour and a half, which means I've taken too much of your valuable time. So, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. And I will take you out on a little bit of music. Guys, thank you very much for being for allowing me to express myself, which allows me to formulate like is this something I'm going to hold on to hard, or like am I going to release this? Like is this a hill I'm going to die on, shit lords, or is this something that it doesn't really matter, and it allows me to express that to you guys, and you guys can say yeah or no or things like. So I really appreciate that as well. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. For anybody who's come on this episode this long, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. But if you don't want to do that, I just appreciate you even getting to the end here. Guys, have a great one. I will see you later. Have a great weekend as well. And we'll start this day of series bright and early Monday with new stuff. Yeah. Oh, Caligula says, thanks for another great show. And happy end of the cycle. Yeah, a little intermediate piece of time and space as we've come together spinning on this ball that we call Earth. I love it. Yeah, don't you mean a fraction of eternity? Yeah. Although to a gnat, we are literally engaging in the lifespan of some insects. So maybe we should appreciate some of this time that we have with each other. Guys, have a great one. Have a great weekend. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility.